It's a beautiful morning. I think I'll go outside for a while and just smile. Just taking some clean, fresh air for me. Staying inside. If the weather's fine and you got the time, it's your chance to wake up and plan another brand new day. Either way, it's a beautiful morning. Each bird keeps singing his own song. So long, I've got to be on my way now. No fun just hanging around. I got to cover ground, you couldn't keep me down. It just ain't no good if the sun shines and you're still inside. Still inside. Still inside. We'll be children with robins and flowers. Sunshine caresses each new waking hour. Seems to me that people keep seeing more and more each day. Gotta say, lead the way. It's okay. Brand new day. Gotta say, it's okay. All right. Lead the way.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another glorious morning. More glorious, made more glorious with coffee. How's your coffee this morning? How's your morning? Good morning, everyone over there. Josh Kemp, good to see you, brother. How's the weather in your neck of the woods? He's a weather guy. That's why I ask it that way. Susie Q, good to see you. Grumpy Stack, how you doing, Doug? Good to see you this morning. How's the tire business down in Louisiana? And who else we got? We got Sandra Saunders over in London, the outskirts. We got, who else? I thought there was somebody else in here. Anita Palmer. How you doing, Anita? Good to see you. Hand pink waving, it says, from Anita Palmer. So good to see you this morning. I'm Scotty Roberts. For those of you who don't know, I am filling in for Kenny KB Ballos on his morning show. He's going to be very soon. They're going to start working on his voice, and hopefully he'll get his voice coming back after his bout with cancer. That he's all done with his chemotherapy. He had his last treatment the other day, and it looks so far, knock on wood, thank God, it looks like it's all in remission. They can't find any traces right now, so that's a good sign. Bonnie Boggs, good morning to you. How you doing this morning? So filling in for Kenny KB Ballos, who may make an appearance this morning, may have something to say. And so, as you all know, you can call into this show. The link to call in is in the description below. Easy to find. Just go down there. I can also paste it in, because I'm that way. So if people want to call in this morning, you can follow this link. It's right here. Boom and boom. And also, as we get started, I want to put in a plug for my own show, the Intrepid Radio program, now in its 22nd year. And we've had a, roller coaster. We've been on and off the air over the years, but this show's been going since 2000. And we are over on, you can find me on YouTube here. Just look up Scotty Roberts on YouTube, and you'll find all my videos. We've got almost 1,000 videos over there of this show. And so go check it out. You can also come over live tonight. Tonight will be the last night that we broadcast live on YouTube. Now, you might be able to pick up some of the reruns and things like that on YouTube or later publications for the public, but you need to come over now to my Patreon site starting on Monday morning or Monday evening, the Monday evening show. Go to Patreon. If you haven't heard of Patreon before, and if you haven't heard me talk about it, Patreon is a little site where you can promote your podcasts. They don't have the restrictions that a YouTube has, and but it does cost something. Where my show has been pretty much free for the last 20 years, other than those who subscribe to my YouTube channel, this show is going to cost $4 per month. Now, what do you get for that over on my channel? You get 3 shows a week. You get little extra shows that are put in. You get all kinds of other stuff. You get old shows that I've posted. You can go see them now. There's a bunch of old reruns up over there. And when I say rerun, don't let that bother you. It's all very timely, pertinent stuff. And so I've got some of the shows I've got up over there revolve around the jinn, some of the mystical visions and things like that. I've also got a couple of shows on why kids need horror, why they need horror stories, why that's a good thing for kids, how to fulfill your kids' fantasies or encourage them to have them. Shows like that I've got up over there now. So we're building up some of the back stock over there. So come on over to my Patreon. Here is my my link to my Patreon is right here. And $4 a month. You might say, why, that's an awful lot of money to listen to you talk. Well, maybe it is. Hopefully, after 20 years, I've earned a few stripes to be able to say my shows, if I'm doing 4 shows per week total, and plus some extras, let's just take the 4 shows. Say that's 16 shows a month on the average. And you'll be doing at least 20, you'll find over there per month, maybe closer to 30. But if you're doing 20 shows per month at $4 a month, what does that work out to be? 20 cents per show, something like that. If I'm doing my math right, if I got the zeros in the right place. So anyway, all that to say, you'll have to send me that message later. You might not be talking to me. I will never pay to hear Scotty talk, says Grumpy Stack. Well, there you go. I'll never pay for one of your tires. It's got to be a freebie. So come on over to my Patreon site and join up, become a patron. Just follow that link and you'll see how. And I think it will be worth your while. There, enough of a personal advertisement. But tonight, right here on YouTube, you'll see my show, the Intrepid Radio Program. It will be our final show on YouTube, other than after the fact shows, reruns, or posting the shows a little later. So come on over and check it out tonight. So Valerie asks how I'm doing. Hi, Valerie, by the way. I'm doing just fine. As many of you know, I talked about it on my show. Of course, I had to because it's my show. But last week, I was in the hospital for 3 days. And 3 days filled with boredom, testing, trying to sleep, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And all I had was when I had my, hey, good morning, Terry Pitts. Good to see you. I had a little, whenever I've had heart attacks, and I've had 4 or 5 of them, but I only had one big one. The rest were all kind of sub-heart attacks of the same issue because there was a problem with it. But I felt it in my shoulder. I felt like, I slept on my shoulder wrong. And, or it was, it felt like an old, what's the shoulder pain? The old, oh, good grief. I can't think of the term all of a sudden, but felt like an old injury in my shoulder. And then I'd feel it when it got worse. I felt it up in the armpit. And I remember calling after 3-4 days of that saying, I've been having these pains up here and in my armpit. And they said, hey, you better get in. And that's when I went in. They rushed me to the hospital in the cities. And of course, I had the open heart surgery. And that was 6 years ago, 6 years ago, February. Now, 4 or 5 times subsequent to that over the last 6 years, I've had the same thing, little pains. And I thought, is that a heart attack? I remember the first heart attack. I was even like, I'm not clutching my chest and falling to the ground. Is that really a heart attack then? Is that always the way they manifest? And so I'd always have the little pain up there, and I'd go in and I'd check it out. They'd rush me up to the hospital again, do an angio something or other, and where they run the coat wire up through your crotch and go all the way up to your heart. Now they do it through the wrist, and they run it into your heart, but they still do mine up through the crotch. And I finally found out a year ago, February, so this would be 5 years in. He said, I found out I'm laying on the table. He's got the big screen, and you can see the video of my heart pumping, boom, 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 and all the veins and stuff. And he goes, I found out why you've had all these little heart attacks over the years. He said, when they did the open heart surgery, they also put a stent in on one of my veins, arteries, veins, I think. And he said they put in the wrong sized stent. It's too small. It's allowing itself to be shrunk over the years, just clogged up. And he said, if you look at this, he said, you've got through that one stent area. This was a year and a half ago. He said, you've got like a pinhole of space for the blood to flow through. He said, we're just going to go in and open that up again. And he opened it up. He put something on the outside. He put something on the inside. And so he opened the thing all up. And I haven't had a single problem, again, knock on wood, in a year and a half. Until last week. I felt, now remember, I said everything's manifests on the left. So everyone, if you've got that, watch that. And when you get to a certain age, it would manifest over here. Well, I felt something over on the right side, and it was down a little low, and it was right on the tip of my edge of my sternum. And it didn't feel like the other stuff. The old ones were always, you felt that it was internal. It was something's wrong in there. And this one felt like it was on the surface of my sternum. I could push on it. I go, ow, that kind of hurts. And then I felt it equidistant all the way around to the backside between my shoulder blade and my spine. And I turned my head this way. I can still feel it a little bit. I turned my head this way, and that whole back just fired up between the shoulder blade and so on. And I said to Rainey, I said, that seems an awful lot to me like muscle strain. I must have strained something, and it's reflecting in the front or it's reflecting in the back. I still feel it. So I went in, and she said, please go to the ER. And I sat on the sofa with my head in my hand, not feeling very good because of the pain. And I said, I'm going to contemplate whether or not I want to go in, because I'm going to be rushed to the ER, rushed to the hospital, and I'll spend 3 days in a hospital bed, which is exactly what happened. Well, they ran me through all the tests, and bing, bang, boom, all the CT scans, they did the coat wire up through the crotch again, and they're looking at everything. They said, the good news is there's no problems. So you might have been right. It might have just been muscle strain, and I still feel it back there. So I think that's what it is. So all of those of you who wondered, yeah, they do it to the crotch because I'm a conservative, says Grumpy Stack. That's it. Or because I'm crotchety. What if they call it groin? They did it through my groin. And so then, of course, after they do that, by the way, you have to lay on the bed because they tap an artery and they run that up in there. And then they make sure it's all closed up. They bandage it. And you got to lay still on your back for 3 hours. And I mean, they do it to the minute. I remember I went in at what time? It was 11:07. I came back into my room after the procedure, and they said, no, it was 12:07, because they said, well, at 3:07, you can sit up. So there it is. So they found nothing, no problems. They said your heart has not degraded at all since the original surgery 6.5 years ago. And they said, you're doing fine. And it's okay to come in. And I said, well, now I feel kind of guilty for coming in when because I think it was just the muscle strain. And they said, never feel guilty. If you feel anything that seems awkward, you come in. And the only reason they rushed me to the hospital, I went to the ER here locally, and the doctor, who was an Indian doctor, dot no feather Indian, and said, oh, my very big goodness, your EKG is way off the scales. We already have things in motion. We are getting an ambulance to take you up to the city, and we will have it checked out. I'm like, oh boy, that's great. And then the doc up there, of course, the cardiologist said, he says, you don't have to worry too much about the way your EKG looks if your past EKGs reflect the same kind of information. And he said, we're checking that out now. And sure enough, he checked them, and they were all pretty much the same over the years. So he said, I think that's just your new normal with your EKG. So that's what drove them to send me up to the hospital. And that's where I sat. And they kept pushing me out. They were overcrowded up in the city hospital. And they had other people in line ahead of me. And so they always take the outpatient ones first. I was inpatient because I was checked in. So there you go. So that's what happened last week. Valerie, that's the long answer to your very short question. So in other words, I'm doing fine, which is good. Even in the hospital, I was fine. You know, when I talk about you get a job and it's a job you don't like, and I talk about that fish philosophy of being there, making your own attitude, making someone's day, all of those things that go and that contribute to you having the best attitude you can possibly have. And I bring that not only into my work situations, but I bring it into the hospital. And so I was always, I was there. I was in the moment, obviously, but I brought my attitude. I didn't want to grumble. Now, if I'd been in a lot of pain, I suppose, and sedated, that might have been different. They did have me on some drugs for the pain in my back and to try to level things off. And I was a little loopy at some points, but I tried to always deal with a sense of humor with all the doctors, with all the and everything and blah, blah, blah. You know how it is. His name is Dr. Pepper from Punjabi. Punjabibi. That's even different than the Punjab. So all that to say that 7 minutes of conversation just to say, doing fine. And thank you for asking, Val, and other things. I ain't got no muscles. Yeah, my muscles are. What is that? The shoulder pain. Why is that term slipping my addled mind this morning? Rotator cuff. I thought the original heart attack was old rotator cuff thing flaring up. So somebody once told me, oh, rotator cuff, all that means is you're fat and flabby and your muscles are bad and you get pains in your shoulder. That's all the rotator cuff is. I beg to differ. I've had it for 20 years in my shoulder. So anyway, hey, Carlene, good to see you. Glad you're in here this morning. Matthew Sainsbury from Barbados. And everybody else who's filing. Susie Q. Hope you're okay, Captain. Much love. Thank you. Same to you, Susie. You got to get out to the garden. It's good to see you this morning. It's nice up here, by the way. It's in the low 90s temperature-wise. And it is very humid up here. And now they're saying the humidity is going to drop a little bit, which is nice, but it's going to remain hot. I can handle the heat. I don't like the humidity. I don't like walking outside and having my clothes stick to my body because of the filmy sweat you build up just for being in the overly moist air. Valerie gets her nerve test results on the 7th. Hopefully they'll be able to help. That's good. I hope so. And isn't that the thing about growing a little older? When we grow a little older, we've got things we've never had to worry about our whole lives. Suddenly, everything starts to fall apart. There's a problem here. There's a problem with that. Nervous system, heart, kidneys, all the different things that affect us. Men, prostate, colon cancer, things like that. Suddenly we find that our bodies just don't want to keep doing what they've always been doing. I think if anybody could find the wonder drug, the fountain of youth, it would be the thing that stops the body from decaying so fast. And we are all in, and I know Anita Palmer, if you're still out there, you're going to love this because we talked about this once before and you thanked me for the depression. But we're all in a state of entropy. We are born and we're going to die from the moment we're born. But we are younger and our bodies can do things better. As we start to get older, it starts to go away. And unless you've been a health freak from the time you were born, or the time you could actually articulate things, those are the people who probably will live a little longer because they've taken care of their bodies all along the way. They eat the right things, they drink the right things, they do in moderation the wrong things, they exercise. You know the people I mean. I don't mean the fanatics. I mean just the people who keep on top of their bodies. And those are the people who will live longer, but probably also get hit by a garbage truck and die at age 40. So we're too slow when we get my age. Our muscles hurt too much to run out into the street too fast. So the garbage truck always misses us. Josh Kemp got the fluid drained off his knee and his ankle on Tuesday. Gross. That's all I can say to that. I have another friend of mine, a guy I went to high school with, who just had his knees done this last year. And I haven't had knee problems, thank goodness. I did have a hip replaced back a year after I had the heart surgery. And so that's, knock on wood again, giving me no problems. I have a bionic hip. So Carlene says, Val, if you feel 100%, I must be 200. LOL. Anita said, I was just coming over to say you termed a failing body as rot. Oh, yes. Yes. Our bodies are rotting. That's entropy. That's unscientific language for entropic decay. So it's like the dishes in my kitchen. If you let them pile up for 3 days and don't wash them, what happens? They begin to rot. Entropy, decay. So now they told me I had to have, when they did this one hip, they said I'm going to have the other one done too. So far, I haven't had any problems with the left hip. Every now and then a little twinge of pain, but they said maybe by correcting the right one, that will help facilitate the left one correcting itself. So we'll see. That's up next. A fake knee, says Josh. Yeah, your bionic knee. We can make him better than he was, stronger, faster. So, do fake knees allow you to get out and do marathons anymore? Or is it just to hold you together until you die? I don't know. So, and all the meds I have to take at my age now, it's mostly for diabetic stuff. I have been taking those for years. Insulin and things like that. It's a drag, but it's there. I wish I could do, and I think there probably are ways of life and lifestyles where I could overcome having to need insulin. But my doc says, nah, sometimes your body is just broken in that part and it just won't do it anymore. I don't know if I'm at that stage. So maybe go out and live with an Aboriginal tribe for a year in Australia and find out that everything's natural and you'll live through it all and you won't need the drugs anymore. Bionic spine is what Valerie needs. Look at us. Where's the young people in this group? All us old folks can talk about the things that ail us. And so, there's Carlene. She's going to come in and tell us about how she's young and feisty and no problems.
Hey, I'm young and feisty today.
All right.
We had some idiot try and take the front corner of our car off yesterday, and it's somebody we know, and it's like he got a serious tongue lashing.
I'll bet. Hey, what the hell is your problem? Do you know how to drive?
Yeah, well, I kind of said that with a few more colorful words.
Yes. Such
but,
as,
you know, if you're in the wrong friggin' lane in the street, you friggin' go turn around. You don't just pull in front of somebody and try and take the front of the nose of their car off.
Right. Oh, I encountered that. We went down to Chicago with a friend of mine last Sunday and Monday. She was going to pick up a car, and she asked if Rainey could go with her and have a girls' road trip. Rainey couldn't do it because Rainey had other plans, and Rainey volunteered me. Well, Scotty could do it. You want to do it, Scotty? And I'm like, sure. So Chicago is from here, you know, as the crow flies, 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
But, you know, with stops. My 11-year-old wanted to come with us, Rowan. So the three of us, it was road trip, me and Heather and Rowan. And some of the drivers on the road, it's like, dude, you're going 85 miles an hour
and getting run over
close in between traffic on the freeway. Are you serious? You're the reason people die on the roads.
Yeah.
Just now, I'm no fuddy-duddy, but at the same time, it's like, dude, you don't go 85, and the guy barely came within clipping distance of the front of my car.
Yeah.
And you know, you look at that and you say, you do realize we're doing 75, 80 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And if you clipped me, we'd both end up in a fireball.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's like people.
They got to be first. They got to be first in line.
Yeah. People just don't care. Like I said, this guy, I know who he is. He started harassing me years ago. I had no friggin' clue who he was, and when I found out, I'm like, oh, that doesn't surprise me. He liked the money my now husband, and was not my husband at the time, was paying his wife, so he didn't have to pay her bills. But like I said, if we hadn't been paying attention, I would have got out and punched him.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's like, you know, that's stupidity. You're in the wrong freaking lane. You go up, you turn around. You don't just shove your work truck into our car.
That's right. Our car.
Our car.
Tell where you're from. You don't shove your work truck into our car.
But,
or as Grumpy Stack would say, you don't shove your work truck into our car.
Yeah.
I can't even know. How do you say car in Louisiana? Maybe it's the same. They drop the our car.
So I only caught the end of that. I take it your muscle that was acting up is doing better?
Oh, yeah, it's doing fine.
Yeah.
The muscle still hurts.
Oh,
I strained a muscle in my back or something like that. And shoveling junk. And that's how I must have done it. That's all I can think. But, so I'm doing well.
Yeah.
No heart issues, which is good.
That's awesome.
I had to see the cardiologist yesterday morning for the 1-week follow-up to the hospital visit.
Yeah.
And he was showing me some of the films that they took of my heart. And he says, here's what it was 6 years ago. Here's where it is now. It's in good shape. Blah, blah, blah. And
oops.
So we're doing all right.
That's good.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. It said your package ETA, I believe, is delivered Monday. It's been sitting in Keene, New Hampshire, like 20 miles from us I'm like, what the flip?
Oh, thank you. Yes, Everend sent us an hourglass.
Just a second.
An Arthurian hourglass.
What'd you say, Everend? Yeah, yeah.
So
I finally left Keene yesterday, but it seemed to be there for quite a while. I'm like, geez, if I'd known that, I would have driven to Keene and
they throw them on a pile until they get a truck that's full enough to leave. So thank you to your husband for that again.
No problem. Like I said, it's going to somebody who will appreciate it.
Absolutely.
That's what we like when we have stuff that, it's like we have an overabundance, and I'm like, okay.
I'd appreciate $10,000.
Me too.
Just saying.
Me too.
Anybody wants to send me $10,000, I'm an appreciator.
Me too. I may have that. I don't know what I'll get as settlement. I'm waiting. They finally had to put me totally out of work. My hand is not doing well. I have a lawyer fighting. I have a lawyer fighting workman's comp. So the next couple weeks are going to be tight, but shit happens. You know, they need to pay me. I didn't purposely fall at work and get injured. I actually prevented a worse injury than I have by messing my hand up.
The only way I got injured at work was when I go, hey, watch this new stunt I figured out.
Yeah. I have never had any, I mean, I've had nicks and scrapes and bruises, never have had a serious work related injury. And workman's comp is like, oh, well, you can go in and work one-handed. Oh, it doesn't work when your hand has got a tear in it. It just, I'm like, you know, so, you know, workman's comp's going to have to fess up. They don't like it, but oh, well.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
Yeah.
That's why I have workman's comp. You know, that's like insurance. We live in an insurance-ocracy in part in this country because insurance kind of dictates laws, or laws are made in insurance, you know, and so on. But it's like cars. You can't have a car and drive it in barely any state where you can drive your car without insurance.
Yeah.
And where did that law come from? Is it insurance companies that started that, or is it the lobbyists for insurance companies that said you have to make it a law that people can't drive without insurance? Therefore, they have to come to us for insurance. So the price of insurance goes up because you have to have it. It's a necessity by law, and it's not a necessity to drive. That's not what they consider a life-saving thing, having a driver's license in a car. But if you have one, you have to have insurance to cover. So, insurance. I was going to make a point about insurance that you were making. Now I can't think of what it was. But Steph says, I'm from New England, and I don't say car. How do you say it, Steph? Do you say car? You say it like a Midwesterner? Car? So...
I think because at an early age we had family friends come up and live with us, and they were from Alabama, and they had that wicked Alabama accent, which was awesome. But I think some of it had stuck because, like I said, I weren't very old. I probably was maybe 10, 12, and that's everybody's like, "Oh, you got an accent." I said, "I grew up in Vermont." You know?
That's an accident.
Yeah, purely.
Hey, Scotty.
Purely so, but
about your shoulder, and probably have the same issues I do. Mine pops in and out of joint. Mine doesn't pop out of joint. It's a rotator cuff thing. It's just pain throughout the whole joint.
Yeah.
Basically, the cartilage around the joint gets weak and worn. That could be the same thing there.
Yeah.
So.
Get yourself a TENS unit.
That's what I've heard, and from a couple of different people.
Like I said, mine is a godsend. You know, they have them fairly inexpensive on Amazon. It'll be well worth it because let me tell you, I mean, you can use it on your kids, you can use it on your what, you know.
Yep.
I have one. I use it on my hip joint, my bursa socket acts up regularly. That acts up, I stick that to it, and that's like away we go.
Nice.
I mean, it does not get rid of the pain, but it makes it manageable.
I've looked at them. I've got a little neuropathy in my feet.
Yep.
Diabetic related. And somebody said the TEMS unit's good for that. But
so
far it's not too bad. Knock on wood. Steph says, let's see how that's going to work with all the illegals. Bet you they aren't going to have car insurance. Well, maybe we just need to call our senators and make sure that the illegals, while they get free housing, free food, free phones, free phone service, free health care, let's make sure they can also get free insurance for their cars.
But it isn't just illegals. There are many, many people driving without a lick of insurance.
Oh yeah. We'd be so poor, we'd just get the liability.
Yep.
And just liability.
Been there, done that.
Yep.
But you have people that just they don't care. I mean, they don't care.
You buy a new car, you got to have it fully insured, full insurance coverage. So Josh uses one of those TEMS units on his back.
I said they are. If you get one, I got one that has. I'll send you a picture via Messenger. I got to dig it out. I got one that has 6 different settings. You can use 2 leads at once. Each setting has multiple settings in itself. You can set the timer. You can pick the intensity to zap the heck out of you. You're gonna wake up or
Yep.
just be comfortable. But like I said, they're really, like I said, they're really a lifesaver.
Yeah. By the way, Josh Kempson's, especially since they wrote that blank check for Biden. Yeah, don't think the Republicans had good intentions, but the Republicans didn't do what they should have done. McCarthy, yeah, he's done some good stuff already, but they did not take this thing far enough. There is a problem. Does everybody here understand what the problem is with the vote that was taken? Number one, the Biden-McCarthy debt limit deal is a missed opportunity that, one, adds $4 trillion to our national debt. $4 trillion to our national debt. 2, it keeps $1.2 trillion in unreliable green energy giveaways. It keeps $1.2 trillion, that's with a T, in green energy giveaways. It forces 87% of Americans without federal student loan debt to pay for those that do. And so Congress can't keep mortgaging the future of our children and our grandchildren. And so here's what I'm going to tell you to do. This vote goes to the Senate now. It's passed in the House with the McCarthy deal. I'm not raging against McCarthy. I just think it's a mistake. I think he did the wrong thing. And there's a lot of people that know he did the wrong thing on this because he really they haven't reduced anything. They aren't considering the COVID issues, the way COVID affected everything. They're going back to COVID times, not pre-COVID times. So that's like Biden saying, I've increased all sorts of jobs.
Yeah,
well, no,
right.
He hasn't. All he's done is he's had not even 100% return to the jobs that he helped shut down with his COVID shit. So the same thing with the budget. Now, here's what you can actively do. And do this. Don't just listen to it. I'm going to do it today. Call your state senator. He's not going to get on the phone with you, but you can usually leave a message. Or an assistant's going to call and say, I do not want my senator, the senator for your state, the Congress. You say, I want my senator to vote no on this debt deal. Is that going to push us into maybe a default in another week? Maybe. But maybe we should default. Maybe we should have a problem like that. You know what happens with normal Americans? When we can't print money, we default all the time. As private citizens, how many times have you had a bill you couldn't pay on time? That's maybe our country needs to have a little bit of that going on right now. Maybe we need to shut down Congress. Maybe we need to do things. But you know what's going to happen? They'll shut down all the jobs for the millions of Americans that work for the government. They won't shut down the
and they'll take Social Security from the other
last night. See, I thought that vote was today, so they passed it last night.
Correct.
So never mind. Call your senator and tell them how disappointed you are in them. So you're surprised that Pocahontas voted against it, says Steph. I wonder why she voted against it. That's interesting. I'd like to know what her reasons were.
I can imagine the two from Vermont voted for it.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up, but knowing their history, they were probably jumping at it, saying, yeah.
So I am behind the times. I thought that vote was today. So anyway, well, it passed. So there you go. We got a debt deal that is really not much better than, you know what it is? The Biden administration, you know why they're not complaining about it? they played the Republicans.
Yeah.
And the Republicans played right into their hands. And so there has to be checks and balances, folks. There has to be a side of the argument. Do you know the founders did a genius thing when they created our legislature, our Congress, the way they created it? They created it so there would be infighting, so that there would be challenges, so that there would be deadlocks and gridlock. Do you know why they created it that way? Because the government that works slowly works best. And that's the way it's supposed to work. You're supposed to argue over these issues. You're supposed to find compromises that work for the citizenry. You're supposed to find these. And remember, keep in mind still, it's more on the long-term look, but they all work for us anyway. So if they're not doing what you want them to do, vote them the hell out of office.
That would be nice.
Office and then belly aching that they're doing things you don't like. Jesus.
Now, just one question: who saw Biden's nice little fall the other night?
I saw that. Now I feel bad for anybody who's elderly who falls.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah,
it's not like, it's. But is that not a very perfect picture of his presidency?
Yeah.
He's an old guy that they said he tripped on a sandbag.
Yeah, sure he did.
Used sandbags to hold up theater props, stage props, things like that. So there might have been a sandbag, and he turned and tripped, and he took a pretty hard fall.
Yeah, he did.
He broke anything, but you want to laugh, and at the same time, you only want to laugh because of the first time when he tripped 3 times going up the stairway. You want to laugh because it's Biden. He fell over on his bike. You want to laugh because he's not fit for office. But at the same time, he's an old dude. And by the way, speaking of the word old, I hear everybody talking about Biden's too old to run. No, he isn't. He is not too old. What he is he is not meeting competency levels. He is too old. He is one of those elderly people that is not sharp in mind, that is not a good leader. That you compare Trump to Biden. Trump's only 4 years younger than Biden. Is it that magical 4 years? No, it's the mind. So Biden's mind has slipped. He needs to have a competency test. Did you see the reporter who asked him, in front of the White House when he walks by and he addresses they said, so Mr. President, you're running for office. What are you doing? What are you doing for campaigning? Where have you been? We haven't seen you out campaigning. Are you planning on campaigning? And he goes, and he blows him off and he walks away. Well, he's going to sit in his basement again. Well, he doesn't need to.
Yeah, because they've already said, there's another virus coming that's worse than COVID. And somebody they posted, so they can hide Biden in his basement.
John Senecal says, since the first debt ceiling drama, we've never defaulted. If the money has no substance behind it, perhaps the debt is imaginary also. That's a very good point, John. So, hey, Ryan Gale. Hey, Scotty, old boy, he says. I've known Ryan since I think he was 17 or 18 years old. He joined our regiment, our Scottish red-coated historical regiment, the 42nd Highlanders. Back, how old were you, Ryan? Were you like 17 years old? He was the kid that came in, got all outfitted up. And that was I think the first year I met you was 1998. And you were a kid. So you're an adult now. I think you're all grown up now, Ryan. And Josh Kemp, term limits. Yes, there need to be term limits.
I still say we need to cut down what they get paid and make them live off what normal people live off.
Oh, you're saying Fetterman voted no?
Wow.
Merkley, Warren, only Dems that vote. Oh, those are the only 4 Democrats that voted no. I wonder what they perceived was their reason for voting no.
Wow.
In Fetterman's case, you almost want to say maybe he didn't understand what the yes and no vote meant.
Yeah. So that means Sanders and Welch voted yes. So not shocked.
Yeah. So Sanders voted for it.
Yeah.
And so,
But yet, they just voted in our lovely little capital. They just voted in this new S5 heat, which will add $1 a gallon to gas and diesel. Say nothing of heating oil. And they also voted in some new gun laws, so they're already after our guns.
yes.
And
This was a good
that went
omnibus.
through. The
We liked
governor
it.
actually didn't veto it. He just didn't sign it. He let it become law.
There you go.
So, another good reason to pack up and move out in Vermont.
That's right. Hey, I'm going to go warm up my coffee. Carlene, I'm going to put you on. You're going to take over for 2 minutes.
Oh,
Why don't you
God.
show people your tattoos or something? I'll be right back.
That could be scary. Whoops, I did something. Crush.
Well, it's awfully quiet in here. Where'd Carlene go? Oh, your internet dropped. And there it was, folks. That was the premiere of the Carlene show. So I got my coffee. My coffee was getting cold, so I had to warm it up and get a warm cup. Oh, there's your my son of a patriot. You too can get your son of a patriot mug. That is a cartoon version I did of my forebear, one John Robards back during the Revolutionary War. And you can go to my Etsy page, etsy.com/ here, look, I can even put it up here. It's in this banner. Boom. And you can go take a look and see what we got over there. Shirts and mugs and stuff like that. There it is, etsy.com/shop/son of a patriot. I don't have the word shop in there. That's weird. So, where were we? What were we talking about? Thanks, Carlene, for filling in. So there wasn't radio silence for 3 minutes. Your connection dropped. Vermont is going crazy, she says. So what's going on in everybody's world? We can talk about politics all morning long. What about the paranormal? What about that 3-letter word? Don't be afeared. So Robert Pitts. Oh, she pushed the wrong button. Oh, okay. Carlene pushed the wrong button. Sorry, Carlene. I did put you on the spot there. So, Steph, I just went to get coffee and I put Carlene in charge. So I got my coffee now. So you got a nice look at my wall while I was out. My mic was open, though. There she is. Oh, you came back? Hi, Carlene.
Speaking internet in New England, Jesus. I couldn't believe that. I went to say something. I'm like, crap.
Oh, oops. So.
And no, Terry, I did not push the wrong button.
Yeah.
I was behaving myself today.
All right.
My shirt says it all for anybody who wants to annoy the out of me today.
Sure.
In the neighborhood.
Well, everybody put out some good thoughts for Wendy. I don't know the current status. Her dog, which some of us, we have pets and their dogs, and they're part of the family, and you know, your heart goes out with them. She's got a really special, close attachment to her dog, Henry, and he's not doing well. The last I heard, which was yesterday. So and she was very worried and very out of sorts. I don't think I've even gotten an answer from her. I wrote her. I did not call her, but I wrote her and to ask how things were going. I haven't seen any updates yet, so I don't know what's going on today.
That's not good.
She might not even be anywhere where she can get me. She hasn't even seen my messages.
Mm-hmm.
So from last night. So not quite sure how it's going. Put out some good thoughts, some good prayers for Henry. She does have a GoFundMe up to help. She put out £1,000 just the other day, 2 days ago, for Henry. Now, £1,000. Hey, hang on. I'll tell you how much money that is.
I was gonna say that's.
Hey Siri, how much is £1,000 in American dollars? So £1,000 is well, right now the exchange rate is 2.942. So the exchange is going to be, let's see, I've got a chart here. £1,000 in US dollars is $799. No, other way around.
That can't be right.
No, it's the other way around. We'll go from British pounds to US dollars. That's $1,250.
I was gonna say.
If you can't do your math fast enough, like me. So she had to put out $1,200 thereabouts. So say your prayers for Henry. I haven't heard from Michael either. He must be talking to her a little bit. So I'm not quite sure what's happening as of right now. But the last I heard, he was not in good shape. So
yeah, that's sad. We're all praying for Wendy and sending her good thoughts. And
pray for her. You know,
share it. We're all sharing. Those of us who can't do any really help her financially are sharing it so that people will see it.
Right. If you can throw her a couple of bucks on her GoFundMe, that'll help her. Every little bit helps. As far as when we lose pets, or even when we lose people, I have found that praying doesn't seem to change things. I think God, if you pray to God and ask for a miracle, God will step in the impossible, and then doesn't always step in the way we always want him to. Why doesn't God do what we want him to do, or what we ask or plead or beg for him to do? I have found that prayer is more for you. It's more for your heart. It's more for the people who are here. So put out a lot of prayers you can put out prayers for Henry, but also put out prayers for Wendy. That she can handle with grace and what's going on, whatever happens. So hopefully Henry will pull through fine, but he's got some serious issues for a dog his age. So, and that's the sad thing too. When you have pets and you're very attached to them, their lifespans aren't what our lifespans are.
And if you've had a pet and it's not really a pet, it's a family member.
Right.
People, I mean, I understand you're saying pet, yes, but you know, I
And I
have
love
4
animals.
cats,
Don't
and
get me wrong.
I know 2 of them won't be able to make the move, and I'm having to make a hard decision
Sure.
because I don't want to see something happen to them. And like I said, because they're skittish cats, I'm talking to people that I know that would give them, but it breaks your heart either way.
I
Yeah.
know Wendy isn't feeling very good either, so says Val.
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say,
think, and this on top of it is
Yeah.
not any help.
no.
So,
When you're not feeling well, added stress does not help matters.
so Wendy, if you're out there and you want to call in, or if you're listening, Michael, if you're out there, and you're listening, you want to call and give us an update if you know anything we don't, that'd be cool. So, yeah, it's always tough when a pet has a problem.
Yeah.
Now, we have too many pets in our house, I think. We've got a dog, which Lucy Fur. She's a great little dog, and she's 6 years old now, and she's a good dog. And Rainey loves her to death. She's a great part of the family. We've also got a couple of cats. We got old Oscar the Black, and he is got to be he's got to be 18 years old if he's a day, and he looks like a black throw pillow laying around the house. All he does is pretty much sleep and eat, and he'll talk to me every now and then. He comes up and he works up the energy and jumps up on my lap and just wants to be pet. That's all he wants, just pet.
Yep.
And if you stop petting him, you go, okay, that's enough. He'll push his head into your hand, or grab you with his paw and say, pet me some more. And then we've got little shithead, Bob Saget, the new kitten. He's not a year old yet, so he's still a young cat. But my kids all got baby chicks the other day. And they got 4 chicks. And because in our town, you can keep, I think, up to 5 or 6 chickens in your backyard. And Rainey said, let's put the expense in. We'll get eggs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so those chicks are maybe 3 weeks old, 2 weeks old. They're not at the pullet stage yet. They're still little yellow fuzzy things. Well, shithead Bob Saget has tried to eat 2 of them already and killed them. And we don't keep them out. We're not like, okay, chicks, run around. Just watch out for the cat. No, they're kept in the bathroom in my daughter's room, and in a box in there with a heat lamp and food and water and all that. Then they'll bring them outside and put them in. They took a bird cage and took the bottom out of the bird cage and set it on the grass, and they spread food out around in the grass so they learn to peck for food. And but the cat somehow found a way to get underneath and yank one of those chicks out. And he's done it twice now. So, and killed 2 chickens. So we're about ready to take one that he killed and tie it around his neck with duct tape. So.
And you won't have any ticks once they get older.
Yes. Leslie Holker just messaged me. She's a regular to my show. And she said, the hospitals have gone to shit. She says, now I know how you felt waiting to get a room. She said she took Andy, her husband, into the ER last night, and it took over 2 hours for them to get to him. And that's unacceptable, especially, you could die in 2 hours. I'm sorry, depending on what's going on. So.
When I was having my heart issues last year, so we thought it was heart issues last summer, I had to make a few trips to the emergency room, and I'm like, they leave you sitting. I mean, my heart rate is extremely elevated. I'm having tachycardia, and they put you in there and just kind of walk away. It's like, you mind doing something here?
Yeah. Well, now here's the other thing. When you get news like this, when I was in the hospital, they did the CT scan last week for my heart, and they found a little nodule, pulmonary, which means it's lungs.
Yeah.
Little nodule. And the nurse said, oh, we got some of your results back. And she goes, oh, did you used to be a smoker? And I said, why do you ask? And she said, well, there's this little nodule. It's 5 millimeters, which is like that much. And she said, you got a little nodule here. She said, but it's smooth, which means it's benign. And it could be, I asked my cardiologist about it, and she didn't have much information for me, the nurse. So, and I haven't gone in to see my regular doctor yet since last week, but I saw the cardiologist for a follow-up yesterday. I asked him about that. He said that can be anything. He says, if you're a past smoker, he says, the good thing is it's only 5 millimeters and it's smooth. It's not rough edges, which means pretty much it's benign at this point without doing a biopsy. He said it could also be from any kind of lung trauma. If you had pneumonia. So I've had pneumonia a couple times. I had COVID twice. And he said it's possible it could grow from that too. He said it doesn't always have to be cigarette related. And I told him I'm smoking 2 cigarettes a day now. I smoke a halfie and then I leave it and I smoke the other half again. So I go out 4 or 5 times a day. So 2.5 cigarettes a day, maybe. And I've been sitting on, I had about a third of a pack of cigarettes left when I got back from the memorial trip down to Chicago with my friend to get her car. And I had 8 cigarettes left in my pack. I still got 4. So that shows you how fast I'm smoking those. And so we'll see. But the point is, they said, when it's this size and the way, the shape it's in, we say, just let's check it out in a year. And I said, well, what if it grows gargantuan in a year? He says, well, you're going to know. And then you're going to know there's a problem. I said, if it could possibly ever become a problem, can't they just knock it out of there? And he said, well, no, because that's invasive surgery. He says, you just watch it. It's at the watching it stage. He says, it could be there the rest of your life and never do anything. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's what my sister had, and they weren't able to biopsy it, and yeah, it's a dangerous surgery to have it removed or even biopsied.
Right.
And they didn't biopsy hers because of her emphysema, and they said, you go in there, we're gonna, if we can get it. They generally say at 5 millimeters they can't get it anyway.
Right.
But they said, you guarantee you will be in the hospital because your lung will collapse after the biopsy.
Sure.
We'll have to reinflate it. That's why they watch it and just say, I'm surprised they're telling you every year. My sister was told every 3 to 6 months. But she's also got a bad emphysema.
The shape it's in right now, they said,
yep.
In a year, check it out. So.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a scary surgery. They found one on her sternum, and they're like, well, we'll try and biopsy that one, see if it's related to the other one, and found out it was from an injury she never knew she even had.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm going to run, guys. We're in the middle
of Carlene.
We're in the middle of a stupid heat wave in New England. I said, I wanted it to be warmer. And we broke records yesterday and looking forward to it today with a bad thunderstorm blowing in.
Is it humid?
It is a little today. We have a bad day. They say we're going to get hammered bad with a thunderstorm later this afternoon. Then it's going to get cold again.
I can handle heat. It's the humidity that puts me down.
Yeah. And so I'm going to try and get, like I said, I ain't been able to do a heck of a lot. My poor husband's taking the burden of getting this packing and stuff done.
Yeah.
But there are little things I can get done, and he does the boxes for me, and that's good. But this hand thing is thing. But I can't wait to get out of New England. I mean,
I hear you.
I love New England, and I'll miss it. But yeah, it's just it's the time has come.
Yes. So exactly, Steph. They can grow, so they watch it.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep, they do. They watch it. Like I said,
to do.
I'm just surprised, being he's kind of a smoker, that they didn't say 6 months versus a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you guys all have a good day. Yep.
See you, Carlene. Have a fun day. All right, everybody. Here we are. We're back. So, what else is going on out there with everybody? I could have all kinds of topics lined up, and I don't. I have all kinds of things I could talk about off the top of my head, but I kind of leave it open. See how y'all are doing. I haven't seen Kenny this morning. I did see a message from him. Maybe if Kenny, if you're out there and you're hearing this, come on in and say hello, say good morning, and tell all your adoring fans good morning. So what do you all got going on today? I got to finish illustrating a book, which I've been saying for 3 months now. I got to get this book done, and something keeps jumping in the way. And it is for pay, and it's not like I'm holding somebody else out. It's I started this little publishing company with a buddy 4 years ago, and this was one of the books I said I wanted to do. I wrote it and finished it about a year ago, but I haven't finished the illustrations. It sits on the back burner until I can get it done. So, which kind of sucks, but I'll get them done. It's the book on archaeology, and I read that on the show when Michael was doing the show, and so I read that, but I didn't show any of the imagery. And so once I get that done, that will be published. It's going to be a hardback book, a lot like The Sword and the Clay. So I got to finish that baby up. That's good stuff. I mean, I enjoy the illustration work. This one doesn't pay me quite as much because it was really from my company. Then I told my buddy I'd finish this book off. And I don't know if I have any of the imagery in PDF form. Let's see. Well, here's the final cover. I'll show you this. I'll load this up. This is the cover of the book. It's called How to Be an Archaeologist. And if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, I read the text. Here's just the cover. And I'll throw it up here for you to look at. So there it is. Add to the stream. Boom. There's the cover. That's front and back cover. It's a book. It measures about 10 inches by 10 inches with about I'd say a 3/8 inch of a spine. And then the back cover. So the back cover is on the left. The front cover is on the right. How to Be an Archaeologist. And so that's the book I've got to finish illustrating now. And thank you, Sandra. So, yeah, it's what I do. I'm an illustrator. And I don't know if I have any more, one or two of these that I can show you from the book itself. We'll see if there's any other ones in here. And I can give you a sneak preview of what illustrations. Let's see, do I have any of these in PDF form? I don't. So, we're out of luck. So, wait, I got spreads. Do I have any of the sample spreads? I do not. So, this is a pet project. I enjoyed doing this. I've got to finish this up. It doesn't, other jobs seem to jump right in the way of this. So I don't know. I always have time to finish this. How about your work? How is your work? Anybody you work for yourself out there? And if you work for yourself, what's it like for you? Do you work side gigs in private on your own? What's that like for you? For me, being a self-employed artist, I have to watch my time. I have to manage my time. And many times, I hate to say it, some of my pet projects suffer because I have to do work that actually pays the bills. Now, this will contribute when I'm done. My partner's going to pay me for finishing this off so we can finally get it published. But I'll let you know when it gets published. But here, I will share with you one image from this book. I got to save it as a PDF, which is right there. And boom. I don't need to do that. Save. All right, I'll show you this one. This is one spread from the book. And what I mean by spread is when you open up the book, you got left and right pages looking at you. That's a spread, 2-page spread. And so you're going to see this is going to be the very first illustration in the book, the very first page of text in the book. And let's see. I've got them right here, right there. I'll load this one up and I'll show you. So that's the front cover. Oh, you just had 2 Dart helicopters come in. They'll land in your yard, Carlene? So, in Carlene's private heliport. So, by the way, Valerie is going to post her new pyramids on Facebook when they're finished. Her acrylic, I think it's acrylic, the clear pyramid she does with stuff inside, artsy stuff inside. So be sure to post that link, Valerie, so we can find it. Here's the first spread of the book, How to Be an Archaeologist. And if you remember, I read it 2-3 weeks ago when Michael was filling in. And this is the first page. This is how the book opens. You had no idea you were just out to play, wading in the shallows of the river that day. When your bare toes dislodged it, broke it loose from the clay, a pipe carved in meerschaum, 100 years in the cray being the river. Someone had lost it or tossed it away off the bridge in your town that spanned River Cray. The pipe sank to the bottom, and for the next 100 or so years lay quietly waiting for you to appear. And the story is all about this little boy who his interest in archaeology sparks when he finds this pipe in the shallows of the river. And he takes it up to the oddities shop in his town and finds out it's old. And he mounts the pipe, puts it on a shelf, and then he's interested. He becomes interested in old things, and he ends up going to school for archaeology. And as he grows up, and then he becomes an archaeologist. And some of the finds he gets into. And so that's what the book is about. And we called it How to Be an Archaeologist. It's a fun book. But there's the first picture of the boy wading in the shallows of the river. And the style I chose on this is much more cartoony. I've tried to give a realistic edge to the coloring and the backgrounds and stuff like that, but it's a bit of a cartoony flair to it. So there it is. There's the first 2-page spread of the book that goes along with, and then this is the cover, of course, of the book is right there. So, boom, boom. That's what I'm working on for the next week. I got to try to get that done. So, what's everybody else got going? Carlene said, that's so odd. I wanted at one point when I was young, kid, I wanted to be an archaeologist. Yeah, me too. Frankly, me too. It was an interest that burgeoned the older I got, but and I did more in that field, but I never did get an archaeological degree. So any archaeology I do is with trained archaeologists, like John and Maria, and I do what they tell me to do. I don't do archaeology because I'm not an archaeologist. Got to have those letters behind your name, you know. So, So what else is going on? I've asked that about 5 times now this morning. What's everybody got going today? I showed you mine. Show me yours. So I've always wanted to be an archaeologist, said Valerie. Yeah. And it's, we did that show the other night on my show about how to be an adventurer. Now, that's not specifically an archaeologist, but it's with Indiana Jones in mind. The Indiana Jones movie is out in less than 2 weeks, the new movie. And it's supposed to be really good. I'm looking forward to that. So, but how do you be an archaeologist? How do you be an adventurer? How do you be an explorer? Those things, the first thing to note, and I see almost everybody who talked about this online in a blog and articles and books, they talk about being an adventurer. they say, be prepared to not make any money. Very rare is the situation where somebody can be an adventurer and make a ton of money. Same with archaeologists. John and Maria don't make a ton of money. They basically get funding to do their work, and in Egypt, and they pay themselves out of that. And it's you almost have to have a day job to do that kind of thing. Oh, Valerie says it's epoxy resin that she makes these pyramids with. They're mostly organites with real crystals and metal in them. That's very cool. I need to send you a little vial I have of sand from some of the tombs in Egypt, Valerie, and have you make up something for me. So, certain kinds of things to put into the pyramid. I've got, let me show you. You may have seen this on my own show, but I'll show you some of these things I have over here. Let's grab this. Hang on, I'm coming right back. So I got this the first year I was in Egypt. This little replica of an Ark of the Covenant, okay, which is basically an Egyptian bark shrine, is what the Ark of the Covenant was. A lot of what Moses wrote in the Pentateuch, first 5 books of the Bible, about some of the artifacts that went into the temple, things like that. They were all Egyptian, pretty much. But this is, and I keep some things in this. And you see these little vials I have in here. Now, as you all know, because I used to have the statue sitting behind me, the bust of Senenmut, he's over there. Here, if I turned this, you can still see him sitting over there. There's that other wall over there. There's the bust of Senenmut. How can I get my finger over to him? Right there. Senenmut is the man who I believe was the historical Moses. And so I was at his tomb, and I gathered up sand from his tomb. So I've got these little vials of sand from Senenmut's tomb, as you can see there. And I think Rainey glued these shut for me. But so I've got a few little vials of that left. I used to have a bunch. We put some in vials and sold them at some of the shows we did, the symposiums. And what else have I got in here? Little bits of rock and coins, stuff like, oh, this was, I think, a carved little crystal from Egypt, just off the desert floor. Little bits of broken things that I had in here. Stuff like this that broke off of something I had. So, but that's new, you can tell by the layering. That's a replica. So, but this came off of a stone dagger that I had that was carved. That was the hilt piece, and it busted off. I don't know why I've got it in here. And I've got some Egyptian coins in here. That's all. But probably agates that my kids gave me. This might be one from Egypt that I pulled up off the desert floor. So you can see that little piece, a bit of shiny. I got a whole cabinet over there full of artifacts and things. But these, Val, I might send you some of these pieces to have them put into a pyramid, and get you to do one of those up for me, and put the lid back on the ark. Close your eyes, don't look at it. So there it is. So you're making alien keychains now too. They're so cute. Kristen Ivans, I did an improv that I was an archaeologist. I found my keys on a dig. Nice. That's where all our keys go. John says 3 turkeys, 15 chickens, average 7 eggs a day. There you go. Yeah. We had, at one point, we had 30 chickens. We lived a little further out. We free-ranged them. We had a coop that we built. They'd all go into the coop at night or up in the trees to escape the raccoons and the coyotes. And but we'd get sometimes 20 eggs a day. It was crazy. So turkey eggs, are they just like chicken eggs? Do you know the difference? Tastes like chicken. So anyway, that's all I got. That's all I got, folks, this morning. We've been going about almost an hour and a half. That's a minus 10 minutes. So an hour and 20 minutes. If anybody's got anything you want to talk about, now's the time. Otherwise, we're going to start wrapping things up this morning. I got stuff to do. You got stuff to do. I'm just filling in for Ken. I appreciate the fact that you all would come in and join me. Hopefully we'll see Kenny back soon enough. We've been saying that for a long time. Now that he's starting to get better, you're going to work on his throat and his voice box and see what can be done with that. And if they can get that back into working order. And it just went out one day. Just one day, he just didn't have a voice. So about 6 months ago, whatever that was. So hopefully we'll see that improve. So how you doing, Kristen? Glad you came in. I'm sorry that we're just about to shut down for the morning because I got other things going on. But I want to let you know you can come over and see my show tonight, the Intrepid Radio program. Come over to my YouTube channel. That YouTube channel is youtube.com/Scotty Roberts. And you'll see the link on there for tonight's show. Tonight will be the last Intrepid Radio program we do live on YouTube. Moving it all over to Patreon. So all of those of you who have been fans of the show for many years and you support the show, you're loyal to it, you like it, it's now going to cost $4 a month. Now, that sounds like, oh, you're charging? No. Now I'm trying to find a way to make sure we can continue doing this show and it brings in revenue and I can increase the goodness value of the show. And when you talk about $4, that's less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks once a month. So go over and take a look. You have a great day too, Kristen. Good to see you. And everybody else, good to see you. Go check out my Patreon page, if you would, please. Here's the link, I think. Oh, why did it do that? Oh, because it was clicked on that. Remove. So there you go. So there is the link. Go over to my, good to hear, Kristen. I'm glad you're here. Go over to my Patreon page right there at that link and check it out. Become a patron. $4 a month. You'll get all the shows live. There'll be 3 live shows a week and probably at least 3 or 4 past shows. I've got 1,000 shows that I'm sifting through right now and finding great highlights. They're not shows that deal with current politics and things like that, but they are shows that are topics that you're going to enjoy. Right now over there on my Patreon, we've got, here's the shows I put up. We've got Conversations with a Jinn. So talking about the Jinn. Conversations with a Jinn at Menedat Habu in Egypt. I've got one about heroes and why we need heroes. I've got Encountering the Jinn, Part 1. I've got one on missing fathers, missing rituals, about raising kids without dads. Kids Need Horror, all about in order for stories to work for kids and adults, they should scare you. And you should triumph. There's no point in triumphing over evil if the evil isn't scary. Kids need horror, and I talk about why they need horror. I've got a couple of my recent shows up there. Don't Disturb the Messiah before his first cup of Java. Pro-Gnostic influences on the Gospel of John. If you want to get into some more heady religious stuff. I've got one up there called E Pluribus Unum, Out of One Many. And this was based on when I had a European friend of mine very recently who was degrading the United States by stating that America has no culture of its own, but only mimics other cultures. And I had plenty to say to him about that, most of which is reflected in this episode, which I put up. And I will give you a hint that I told him, remember, e pluribus unum for the United States, out of many one. What seems like mimicry to you is us celebrating all our cultures, but we're all American. So we have a diverse culture background. One other recent one I put up that is more political was Bragg's Folly, where I talk about when Donald Trump was being indicted by New York District Attorney Alvin Bragg. So those are the shows that are up there now. There's another one that's being added right now as we speak. Or did I already add that one? Let me look and see. Oh, Visions and Mysteries was the last one I put up. And that's where I talk about my personal accounts of my own supernatural. Those of you who are familiar with my show and have followed my show for years, you'll know what that story is all about. But in this one, I show all the photos and things like that. So you can go in there and take a peek at that stuff. So go on over to my Patreon page. The link is there. I posted it. It's in the chat room here. And join up. $4 a month. And that will get you 3 live shows a week. It'll get you at least 3 episodes out of the archives. And it will get you, and the live shows, I'm still working out the live chatting, but there is a way to do that over there on Patreon. The live shows over there, and there will be only members can come and see it there. And we may release it later to the public, a week or 2 later. So if you want to join the live shows, that'll be all set up for Monday of next week. And we're making the big switch over. So there you go. Hey, Sean Stroik. Good to see you. You're here as we are in about a minute and a half, signing off for the day for Kenny's show. And I'll be back here tonight at 9 p.m. for the final YouTube show for the Intrepid Radio program. We'll probably still do Sunday mornings over on YouTube. So if you just if all you need me is a dose 1 day a week, it's going to be Sunday mornings over on YouTube. And that's a pretty informal show. So there you go. Oh, and Val said she can do it. Make my pyramid for me. I'll get you some stuff. Let me gather up some things and I'll get them to you. And we'll figure it out. So I think that's all we've got. Unless anybody's got anything last minute before we boogie out of here. I want to thank you all for being here. Come and join me tonight on Intrepid Radio. Kenny will be back soon. We didn't see him this morning. He must have had some other things going on. So hopefully he'll be back in the saddle soon. And we'll have more Kenny than we haven't had of late. So for all of you who are here, thank you. We'll see you next time. Live long and prosper.
It's a beautiful morning. I think I'll go outside for a while and just smile. Just taking some clean, fresh air for me. Get inside. If the weather's fine and you got the time, it's your chance to wake up and plan another brand new day. Either way, Sunshine caresses each new waking hour.